Greetings, thank you for joining me today. Matt, Customer Service, back with another brush bicycle motor project video. Today we're focusing on the bicycle motor batteries. Now they are a key part of the system and they need to be protected. Previously I've run with lead acid batteries, which are very heavy and need to be kept low to keep the centre of gravity low. I upgraded not so recently to LIFE batteries, which look much like the lead acid batteries but are a whole lot lighter, half the weight pretty much. And these incorporate a protection circuit and the batteries, and they're far less prone to bursting into flames like the LiPos are. I've also incorporated LiPos, but they leave me with a certain feeling of unease when I take them to work, because they can unexpectedly just puff up and start to burn right in front of you, even if you're not charging them. So with that in mind, I sit there watching them like a hawk all day, and it's kind of distracting. So I thought, yeah, let's move over to the safer option. Now, previously I've tried to secure them within a bag. So I would tape a couple of these together, 3 together, and I would put them in a bag and then strap that bag firmly down with a ratchet strap like this. Strap it down to the pannier rack, and that would usually be just about right. Sometimes it slips, and sometimes it slips catastrophically into your back wheel. And it was when that happened for the last time and trashed a whole frame that mercifully I was uninjured, just annoyed. But it could have been far, far worse. When that happened, I decided to upgrade to the lighter batteries and think about a more secure way of securing the battery. Now, in the case of my wife's bicycle, putting the batteries in a bag and strapping that to the pannier rack works just fine, because it's set up for shopping. It's got a nice rack, and there's plenty of ways to hold it secure. However, with my big bike, it's not so easy. Now, the new pannier rack thing that I built to hold the motor controller, well, I could put a basket on top of that, which would be fine, but I don't want the centre of gravity so high on the bicycle. I would sooner have it lower. So I'm incorporating everything into one pack, which I'll put in within the actual frame, just under the crossbar. So to make that happen, I've been making a wire box, as you can see, and I've glued it together with a 3D pen. Now you could use, so basically I take sheets like this. Isopon, that's what I buy, but that's purely because this is what's available in the local Halfords. If I could buy a roll of the mesh, I probably would. It might be cheaper. But yeah, so I glue them together. And that's because I have to work with smaller sheets. If you can get a bigger sheet, of course you won't have that. You can just make a box and you glue up the sides. Now, the reason you glue up the sides is to hold the shape firm while applying the GRP, because I'm going to cover this with a thin film of GRP and build it up on the outside, so eventually creating a box which is secure all round and will hold 3 batteries like this and give them a little protection from dropping and rain. Yeah, so so far so good. As you can see, I've used my 3D pen. Now, 3D pens are very, very useful. They are, in so many respects, a jumped up glue gun, but they're so much more precise, which is why you can get precise lines. I mean, I've used black plastic here because I can. You can tag things together far more tidily. Admittedly, you could do this with wire if you wanted to thread wire through, or cotton thread through the mesh and hold the mesh together that way and make a box that way. That'd be just fine. But you need to keep these sheets together as you're applying the GRP, otherwise it all ends up getting right messed up and expensive. Okay, moving on. Let's turn the camera around, shall we? Okay, so here we are on the bench. This is my wire frame so far. I've got to make a nice rectangular box here, which will be the basis for the GRP work I'm going to do. And when I'm finished with this, I'll make a lid to go on the top that will be able to screw down at all, I guess, at the 4 corners, something like that. They will hold each one of these batteries, thus in place. One. This one's taken a knock. You can tell, can't you? 1, 2 and 3 when I bought the 3rd one. total of 36 volts. These are allegedly 12.8 volts, 10 amp hours, 128 watt hours, which is a bit of an overstatement, frankly, but it's a nice battery. It's a LiFe battery, less prone to catching fire, comes with a charger if you trust it, and it's got the protection circuitry inside, so if you do a dead short, it's not going to explode the batteries. If you go with your cheeky hobby grade lipos and dead short those accidentally, as is so easy to do, you've not only got the grey smoke, but you'll be the guy that burns the office down, and no one wants to be that guy. So yeah, so you can see, if I just zoom in, how tidy the stitching can be. I've got my little Temu 3D printing pen, which is excellent for when you want a slightly more precise glue gun effect. This is what it's good for. You can do a lot of things with it, to be fair, but this is one of the really good uses for it, for gluing things together. You can also fix broken headphones. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's got a tremble. It's probably not best that he's using a 3D printing pen. And you're right. Results may vary. If you've got a steady hand, your results may be far better. 3D printing machines are beyond me. I don't have the patience for them, frankly. But a 3D printing pen, yeah, they're really, really good. This one was about, under £8. It came with a bit of test material as well, but I bought another bag of this 3D printing material. Really, really good. All you need to use one is a high power charger, the USB charger, because it comes with a USB cable. One of these. This is rated something like 67 watts. That's usually good enough, because of course it's got a heating element and a motor. You've got to power it up. This one is capable of dealing with PLA or the ABS. And when you turn it on, power it up, it spends some time warming up, then it just feeds you can feed the material through, and it feeds at a constant rate. There are nicer ones available, ones where you can vary the rate of feed, but this one does a job. My first effort was to try and repair the headphones, the bone conduction headphones. You might have seen my headphone video where the little arm broke. With mixed results. I made a wee box, which you can see here, a box which goes around the battery pack, and a little arm that comes over the top. And as you can see, I've used that UV curing nail gel to try and glue it all together. That's because I didn't have any glue at the time, any Sino. I thought, we'll give it a try. Mixed results. Now, what it does do is give this thing more weight. So, and actually it works better, even though it looks awful and I wouldn't want to wear it on the street. It does work better. I will take it apart though and have a second run at that when I've got some patience for it. But yeah, things you can do. In this case, I've been using it to make parts. So. Okay, so it's been over a week and a bank holiday, and I've made some progress though. Now, I've put a lick of paint on the bicycle motor itself while it sits on the bike, and that's a work in progress. I'm still waiting for it to dry. If you're in the market for black gloss paint, Wicks do a paint that takes ages to dry. It's this one. They do an indoor version of it, which also takes ages to dry. So it's metal paint, which is pretty decent if you're working with GRP or metal, which is my project, obviously. But yeah, wouldn't rely on it to dry anytime soon, and I wouldn't be comfortable painting something that was going to be outside, because I've had bad experiences of things getting knocked or touched whilst they're drying. And if something takes 3-4 days to dry, really makes me cross. So as well as painting the motor, I've also created the battery box base, which is this thing, and the battery box lid, which is this thing, and they've come together quite nicely. I did use an entire tub of GRP resin to do it, which is quite weighty. Yes, it does add to the rolling weight of the bicycle, and you might argue that that's not necessarily a good thing, and it isn't, but you've got to protect your investment. These batteries cost £70 brand new, and well, 3 of them. You want to protect those. You don't want to leave it on your bike. You want to have a nice tidy package to take into work with you, or wherever you happen to get off your bicycle. Yeah. So paint is still drying. Urgh, so annoying. 4 days in, and it's still. Yeah. Buy your paint elsewhere. Don't buy it at Halfords. I can tell you stories, but Wix maybe takes a little longer than you'd like. Yeah. I'm sure expert painters will be able to put something in the comments about how you might make the paint dry faster. Heating it up doesn't seem to work. Sitting it on the Arga for 2 days doesn't seem to work, but yeah. Anyway, if you've stuck with me this far, I do appreciate your time. Many thanks. Whatever you do, have a great day. See you soon. Bye for now.